Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Glitch Feminism, a Manifesto by Legacy Russell, narrated by Janina Edwards. Fuck. The whole motherfucking thing. Etheridge Night. Feeling fucked up. 1986. These are the axes. 1. Bodies are inherently valid. 2. Remember death. 3. Be ugly. 4. Know beauty. 5. It is complicated. 6. Empathy. 7. Choice. 8. Reconstruct, reify. 9. Respect, negotiate. Mark Aguilar. These are the axes. 2012. Introduction. As a teenager, I logged on as Love Punk 12 and spent the following years wandering the highways of haunted machinery, occupying chat rooms, and building GeoCities GIF fantasies. Growing up on St. Mark's Place in the center of the East Village, I learned how to construct and perform my gendered self from the punk kids I met on my stoop, from the drag queens who took the stage at Stingy Lulu's and dominated yearly at Wigstock in Tompkins Square Park, as well as from Boricua culture, all of which was, at the time, part of the bedrock of the East Village and Lower East Side. Love Punk became a symbolic amalgam of all this flow. I chose the name when I spotted Love Punk on a candy apple red heart-shaped sticker adhered to a phone booth outside of my apartment building. I was 12. I peeled it off and stuck it to my trapper keeper, wearing it as a badge of pride. It became a rooted reminder of home as I transitioned in and out of spaces beyond the East Village that often felt alienating to me. Love Punk 12 as a chat room handle was a nascent performance, an exploration of a future self. I was a young body, black, female identifying, femme, queer. There was no pressing pause, no reprieve. The world around me never let me forget these identifiers. Yet online, I could be whatever I wanted. And so my 12-year-old self became 16, became 20, became 70. I aged, I died. Through this storytelling and shape-shifting, I was resurrected. I claimed my range. Online, I found my first connection to the gendered swagger of ascendancy, the thirsty drag of aspiration. My female, transmogrified, I set out to explore man, to expand woman. I toyed with power dynamics, exchanging with other faceless strangers, empowered via creating new selves, slipping in and out of digital skins, celebrating in the new rituals of cybersex. In chat rooms, I donned different corporal realities, while the rainbow wheel of death buffered in the ecstatic, dawdling jam of AOL dial-up. Those dulcet tones of dial-up were Pavlovian. They made me salivate in anticipation of the worlds that lay just beyond the bells. I was a digital native, pushing through those cybernated landscapes with a dawning awareness, a shyly exercised power. I was not yet privileged enough to be fully formed as cyborg, but, in reaching, surely on my way. And I was not alone. Away from the keyboard, or AFK, immersed in a rapidly gentrifying East Village, faces, skin, identities like my own, and like the mixed communities I had been brought up in, were slowly disappearing. I was becoming a stranger in my own territory, a remnant of a past chapter of New York. Creative families of color like mine, who had built the vibrant landscape of downtown New York, were being priced out of the neighborhoods. Suddenly, those living next door were increasingly white, upwardly mobile, and made visibly uncomfortable by my presence and the presence of my family. The old guard were coming up against a generation of trust fund children. These new arrivals were intrigued by the mythology of the East Village as a cultural bastion, yet displayed little interest in investing in the necessary fight to protect its legacy. Beyond my doorstep, my queer femininity found itself, too, in a vulnerable passage through channels of middle school heteronormativity. My prepubescent body was exhausted by social mores, tired of being told to take up less space, being seen and not heard, systematically erased, edited out, ignored. All I wanted to do was move. But in the light of daytime, I felt trapped, always shifting uneasily under the weight of incessant white heteronormative observation. Under this sort of surveillance, real innocence and childhood play seems suddenly unviable. Instead, I searched for opportunities to immerse myself in the potential of refusal. I commenced to push back against the violence of this unconsented visibility, to take control of the eyes on me and how they interpreted my body. It was clear to me, as I stood at a volatile intersection, that the binary was some kind of fiction. Even for a fledgling queer black body, a Du Boisian double consciousness splinters further, double becoming triple, consciousness amplified and expanded by the third eye of gender. Looking through these veils of race and gender, but never being fully seen myself, with limited reference points in the world beyond, I was distanced from any accurate mirror. For my body, then, subversion came via digital remix, searching for those sites of experimentation where I could explore my true self, open and ready to be read by those who spoke my language. Online, I sought to become a fugitive from the mainstream, unwilling to accept its limited definition of bodies like my own. What the world AFK offered was not enough. I wanted, demanded, more. The construct of gender binary is, and has always been, precarious. Aggressively contingent, it is an immaterial invention that in its toxic virality has infected our social and cultural narratives. To exist within a binary system, one must assume that ourselves are unchangeable, that how we are read in the world must be chosen for us, rather than for us to define and choose for ourselves. To be at the intersection of female identifying, queer and black, is to find oneself at an integral apex. Each of these components is a key technology in and of itself. Alone and together, female, queer, black, as a survival strategy, demand the creation of their individual machinery that innovates, builds, resists. With physical movement often restricted, female-identifying people, queer people, black people, invent ways to create space through rupture. Here, in that disruption, with our collective congregation at that trippy and tripwired crossroad of gender, race, and sexuality, one finds the power of the glitch. A glitch is an error, a mistake, a failure to function. Within technoculture, a glitch is part of machinic anxiety, an indicator of something having gone wrong. This built-in technological anxiety of something gone wrong spills over naturally when we encounter glitches in AFK scenarios, a car engine calling it quits, getting stuck in an elevator, a citywide blackout. Yet these are rather micro examples in the broader scheme of things. If we step back further, considering the larger and more complicated systems that have been used to shape the machine of society and culture, gender is immediately identifiable as a core cog within this wheel. Gender has been used as a weapon against its own populace. The idea of body carries this weapon. Gender circumscribes the body, protects it from becoming limitless, from claiming the infinite vast, from realizing its true potential. We use body to give material form to an idea that has no form, an assemblage that is abstract. The concept of a body houses within it social, political, and cultural discourses, which change based on where the body is situated and how it is read. When we gender a body, we are making assumptions about the body's function, its socio-political condition, its fixity. When the body is determined as a male or female individual, the body performs gender as its score, guided by a set of rules and requirements that validate and verify the humanity of that individual. A body that pushes back at the application of pronouns or remains indecipherable within binary assignment is a body that refuses to perform the score. This non-performance is a glitch. This glitch is a form of refusal. Within glitch feminism, Glitch is celebrated as a vehicle of refusal, a strategy of non-performance. This glitch aims to make abstract again that which has been forced into an uncomfortable and ill-defined material, the body. In Glitch Feminism, we look at the notion of glitch as error with its genesis in the realm of the machinic and the digital, and consider how it can be applied to inform the way we see the AFK world, shaping how we might participate in it toward greater agency for and by ourselves. Deploying the internet as a creative material, Glitch Feminism looks first through the lens of artists who, in their work and research, offer solutions to this troubled material of the body. The process of becoming material surfaces tensions, prompting us to inquire, who defines the material of the body? Who gives it value? And why? These questions are challenging and uncomfortable, requiring us to confront the body as a strategic framework and one that is often applied toward particular ends. Yet, along this line of inquiry, Glitch Feminism remains a mediation of desire for all those bodies like mine who continue to come of age at night on the internet. The glitch acknowledges that gendered bodies are far from absolute, but rather an imaginary, manufactured, and commodified for capital. The glitch is an activist prayer, a call to action, as we work toward fantastic failure, breaking free of an understanding of gender as something stationary. While we continue to navigate toward a more vast and abstract concept of gender, it must be said that at times it really does feel, paradoxically, as if all we have are the bodies we are housed in, gendered or otherwise. Under the sun of capitalism, we truly own little else. And even so, we are often subject to a complicated choreography dictated by the complicated, bureaucratic, and rhizomatic systems of institutions. The brutality of this precarious state is particularly evident via the constant expectation that we as bodies reassert a gender performance that fits within a binary in order to comply with the prescriptions of the everyday. As political scientist and anthropologist James C. Scott writes, legibility becomes a condition of manipulation. These aggressions, marked as neutral in their banality, are indeed violent. Quotidian in nature, we find ourselves fending off the advances of binary gender as it winds its way through the basics of modern life, opening a bank account, applying for a passport, going to the bathroom. So, what does it mean to dismantle gender? Such a program is a project of disarmament. It demands the end of our relationship with the social practice of the body as we know it. In his 1956 novel, Giovanni's Room, writer and activist James Baldwin's protagonist, David, darkly muses, "It doesn't matter, it is only the body, and it will soon be over." Through the application of the glitch, we ghost on the gendered body and accelerate toward its end. The infinite possibilities presented as a consequence of this allows for our exploration. We can disidentify, and by disidentifying, we can make up our own rules in wrestling with the problem of the body. Glitch Feminism asks us to look at the deeply flawed society we are currently implicated by and participating in, a society that relentlessly demands we make choices based on a conceptual gender binary that limits us as individuals. Glitch Feminism urges us to consider the in-between as a core component of survival, neither masculine nor feminine, neither male nor female, but a spectrum across which we may be empowered to choose and define ourselves for ourselves. Thus, the glitch creates a fissure within which new possibilities of being and becoming manifest. This failure to function within the confines of a society that fails us is a pointed and necessary refusal. Glitch Feminism dissents, pushes back against capitalism. As glitch feminists, this is our politic. We refuse to be hewn to the hegemonic line of a binary body. This calculated failure prompts the violent socio-cultural machine to hiccup, sigh, shudder, buffer. We want a new framework, and for this framework, we want new skin. The digital world provides a potential space where this can play out. Through the digital, we make new worlds and dare to modify our own. Through the digital, the body in Glitch finds its genesis. Embracing the glitch is therefore a participatory action that challenges the status quo. It creates a homeland for those traversing the complex channels of gender's diaspora. The glitch is for those selves joyfully immersed in the in-between, those who have traveled away from their assigned site of gendered origin. The ongoing presence of the glitch generates a welcome and protected space in which to innovate and experiment. Glitch feminism demands an occupation of the digital as a means of world building. It allows us to seize the opportunity to generate new ideas and resources for the ongoing revolution of bodies that can inevitably move and shift faster than AFK mores or the societies that produce them, under which we are forced to operate offline. With the early avatar of Love Punk 12, I cloaked myself in the skin of the digital, politicking via my baby gender play, traveling without a passport, taking up space, amplifying my queer blackness. This experience of machinic mutiny was foundational to me and gave me the courage to let go of the ambivalence that comes with fear of fossilizing information inherent to the upheavals of adolescence. I found family and faith in the future with these interventions, shaping my personal visions of a self that could be truly empowered in being self-defined, a futurity that social decorum regularly discouraged for a queer black body. Feminist writer and activist Simone de Beauvoir is famous for positing, one is not born, but rather becomes, a woman. The glitch posits, one is not born, but rather becomes, a body. Though the artifice of a simple digital Shangri-La, a world online where we could all finally be freed from the mores of gender, as dreamt of by early cyberfeminists, it is now punctured. The internet still remains a vessel through which a becoming can realize itself. The glitch is a passage through which the body traverses toward liberation, a tear in the fabric of the digital. This audiobook is for those who are en route to becoming their avatars, those who continue to play, experiment, and build via the internet as a means of strengthening the loop between online and AFK. This audiobook will call on and celebrate artists who make critique of the body central to their practice and share the hard fought-for rooms created on this journey as we seek shelter, safety, futurity. To quote poet, critic, and theorist Fred Moten, the normative is the after effect. It is a response to the irregular. As glitch feminists, we inject our positive irregularities into these systems as errata, activating new architecture through these malfunctions, seeking out and celebrating the slipperiness of gender in our weird and wild wander. Toward this purpose, this audiobook is structured in 12 sections, each section intended to pose an alternative after effect, allowing us to peer through the lens of new practices and politics to discover new ways that life not only imitates, but begins with art. Each of the 12 sections begins with a declaration, a white wall against which to cast glitch feminism in its slip, slide, and manifesto. This text will travel from an exploration of glitch as a word to its reapplication within the context of cyberfeminism, to a history of cyberfeminism itself, challenging who has been made most visible in these narratives. Each section will apply the concept of the glitch in an investigation and celebration of artists and their artwork that help us imagine new possibilities of what the body can do and how this can work against the normative. Beginning online, we will journey the online to AFK loop, seeing how glitch feminism can be used out in the world at large, inspired by practitioners who, in their rebellion against the binary body, guide us through wayward worlds toward new frameworks and new visions of fantastic futures. 1. Glitch refuses. Nope. A manifesto. I am not an identity artist just because I am a black artist with multiple selves. I am not grappling with notions of identity and representation in my art. I'm grappling with safety and futurity. We are beyond asking, should we be in the room? We are in the room. We are also dying at a rapid pace and need a sustainable future. We need more people. We need better environments. We need places to hide. We need utopian demands. We need culture that loves us. I am not asking who I am. I'm a black woman, and expansive in my blackness and my queerness, as blackness and queerness are always already expansive. None of this is as simple as identity and representation outside of the colonial gaze. I reject the colonial gaze as the primary gaze. I am outside of it, in the land of nope. Consider artist E. Jane's 2016 piece, Nope, a Manifesto. I begin here with the words of nope, because bound up within them is the foundational refusal required to glitch. To glitch is to embrace malfunction, and to embrace malfunction is in and of itself an expression that starts with no. Thus, E. Jane's Nope helps us take these first steps. E. Jane writes, I am not an identity artist just because I am a black artist with multiple selves. I am not grappling with notions of identity and representation in my art. I'm grappling with safety and futurity. We are beyond asking, should we be in the room? We are in the room. We are also dying at a rapid pace and need a sustainable future. We need more people. We need better environments. We need places to hide. We need utopian demands. We need culture that loves us. I am not asking who I am. I'm a black woman, and expansive in my blackness and my queerness, as blackness and queerness are always already expansive. None of this is as simple as identity and representation outside of the colonial gaze. I reject the colonial gaze as the primary gaze. I am outside of it, in the land of nope. Before talking about what glitch is or what it can do, let's meditate on the idea of a self with multiple selves, and acknowledge that the construction of a self, creative or otherwise, is complex. E. Jane's naming and claiming of multiple selves pushes back against a flattened reading of historically othered bodies, intersectional bodies, who have traveled restlessly, gloriously, through narrow spaces. These are the selves that, as writer and activist Audre Lorde wrote in her 1978 poem, A Litany for Survival, live at the shoreline and were never meant to survive. To seize multiple selves is therefore an inherently feminist act. Multiplicity is a liberty. Within their creative practice, E. Jane explores the freedom found in multiplicity, stretching their range across two selves. E. Jane and their alter ego avatar Misa. Misa is a self-proclaimed pop star at the underground cyber resistance who crossed into some of E. Jane's early artworks presented via the now-defunct multimedia cultural hub and creation engine, New Hive. E. Jane's New Hive piece, Misak's Embassy Freakin' Me, 2016, featured Misa in a pulsing field of lavender peonies, glittering lips, and moving bodies, ever so slightly out of sync in the digital drag of a syncopated collage of sound and imagery. These two selves began as relatively distinct entities, with Misa allowing E. Jane to be a part of themselves that white institutions tried to smother, serving as an alter ego that self-recorded and shared snippets of their own blooming becoming on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Then, in 2017, Misa released an LP with 11 tracks aptly titled Fantasy, marking the moment when the slippage between IRL and URL deepened as Misa performed songs and sets AFK, stepping out into E. Jane's world and perforating the carefully constructed divide between on- and offline selfdom. E. Jane's journey toward Misa, first as an avatar and then as an AFK extension of themselves, is one marked by finding room to roam and finding their range. I think of the poet Walt Whitman's 1892 poem, Song of Myself. Do I contradict myself? Very well, then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Whitman, a white man, was considered radically queer for his time. Within these lines of his, he captures a perfect snapshot of the problem of patriarchy and of whiteness. Whitman is an agent bound up within a social and cultural status quo. Yet that he contains multitudes is his exercise of his right to be large. His capacity to contradict himself is his exercise of the right to be blurry, unfixed, abstract. Patriarchy exercises its social dominance by taking up space as its birthright. When patriarchy comes into contact with whiteness, it leaves little room for anything else. Space is not just claimed by those exercising the primary gaze E. Jane speaks of, but it is also made for them. Space for becoming an unencumbered, rangeful self, and the agential complexity this provides is granted and protected for normative selves and the bodies they occupy. What E. Jane fiercely protects, that expansive self, Whitman dons fearlessly, wholly unconcerned with the threat of having privilege taken from him. More than 120 years apart, they speak to each other through a void, yet look toward two very different worlds. When considering identity and the language often used to speak of it, e.g., the mainstream and those at the margins, it comes as little surprise that under white patriarchy, bodies, selves that cannot be defined with clarity by the primary gaze are pushed from the center. There, a black queer femme body is flattened, essentialized as singular in dimension, given little room to occupy, and even less territory to explore. As flat, shadowy figures standing at the margins, we are stripped of the right to feel, to transform, to express a range of self. The history of this sort of flattening or othering is one that has deep roots within a painful narrative of race, gender, and sexuality in America, but also remains consistent across a world history of war. Where imperialism has touched, where neocolonialism continues, the force of flattening can be found. If one can render another body faceless and unrecognizable, if one can pin another as subhuman, it becomes easier for one group to establish a position of supremacy over another. Violence is a key component of supremacy and, as such, a core agent of patriarchy. Where we see the limitation of a body's right to range, be it at an individual or state level, we see domination. E. Jane is not being hyperbolic when they write that we are dying at a rapid pace. Pushed to the margins, we find ourselves as queer people, as people of color, as femme-identifying people, most vulnerable in weathering world conditions, ranging from climate change to plantation capitalism. Thus, envisioning what shape a sustainable future might take, finding safe places to hide, in addition to techniques that provide space for ourselves, is urgent. Glitch is all about traversing along edges and stepping to the limits, those we occupy and push through on our journey to defining ourselves. Glitch is also about claiming our right to complexity, to range, within and beyond the proverbial margins. E. Jane is correct. We do need places to hide. We need utopian demands. We need culture that loves us. The imaginative architecture of utopia remains ever present in glitch feminism. It gives us home and hope. In 2009, academic and queer theorist José Esteban Muñoz wrote in his Cruising Utopia, "Queerness is that thing that lets us feel that this world is not enough, that indeed something is missing. In this something missing is desire, a wanting of a better world, a rejection of the here and now." Muñoz observes, "We have been cast out of straight time's rhythm, and we have made worlds in our temporal and spatial configurations. A refusal of straight time and, via extension, of a Eurocentric model of time and space, E. Jane posits a nope that does not settle for a world or social system that fails us." The oblique romance of Internet as utopia against this backdrop reality should not be dismissed as naive. Imbuing digital material with fantasy today is not a retroactive mythologizing. It continues as a survival mechanism. Using the Internet to play, perform, explore still has potential. Giving ourselves this space to experiment perhaps brings us closer to a projection of a sustainable future. The same is true online as AFK. All technology reflects the society that produces it, including its power structures and prejudices. This is true all the way down to the level of the algorithm. The outmoded
Sample complete. Ready to continue?